The Cracker Barrel 400 from Nashville Superspeedway, the largest concrete circuit on the NASCAR schedule. Uh, it was a good race. It was solid. Maybe not as exciting as the Coca-Cola 600, but still, I think an overall a fun race for the fans. We got things started off with Chase Briscoe winning his second straight pole. He led the field to green and led for most of the early stages of this race. AJ Allmendinger did have a penalty. His car chief got ejected, hard card confiscated. So NASCAR was not happy with the 16 team and Kaulig Racing for whatever happened, whatever adjustment unapproved may have been made prior to qualifying. Obviously, a big penalty for that team, who's in the midst of a point battle. But then the green flag flies, and we get pretty fun racing right away. Really slick track, really green track to start this race. I mean, just battles all over the place. Byron Hamlin up front, thought it was pretty solid. Briscoe kind of settles into the lead early on, but Hamlin is kind of dogging him right away. There something that was talked about a lot in the lead up to this race was the bumps in turns 3 and 4. There's a bump that's been kind of grinded down over the tunnel. There was also a second bump over in the exit of turn 4. I wondered how much that was going to play a role in the racing, but it turned out that really the bumps I didn't think were as big of a deal as, you know, uh, let's say like Texas, for example, where the bumps caused multiple incidents. We didn't really see that play out at Nashville. Cars were more loose getting into the turns, especially as the race went on. You saw a lot of guys just kind of lose it as they got into the corners. Kyle Larson kind of had a rough start as well. Has a bit of a moment getting into getting into turns 1 and 2. Loses a lot of track position, falls back to 36th. Kind of wild to see. Hamlin was one of the first guys to go to the outside. I mean, we talked about the aero blocking, how big of a role that was going to play in this race. Where Charlotte, I think, had 3 distinct lanes you could run. Nashville was more 2 lanes. You had the very inside, and then you had like another lane up. Some guys were going kind of halfway in between the lanes, but there was really only 2 distinct lanes as the race went on. It keeps going, and then green flag stops get going. Bubba Wallace gets a penalty in that first section of green flag stops. Really put that team behind the 8 ball for the rest of the day because he gets lapped. Has to try to fight and claw his way back onto the lead lap. But really interesting strategy play by the Penske team. They end up kind of staying out long. Blaney was leading at this point. He started the race mid-pack, kind of like 15th around there. But he just kind of felt like had a fast car. It was just a matter of getting that track position, getting to the front. Eventually Cindric and Blaney do pit. But it's Denny Hamlin who gets back to the lead. Briscoe comes out in front of Hamlin, but Hamlin, Briscoe, and Byron kind of have a great 3-way battle up at the front to try to figure out who's going to get that first stage win. And then Denny Hamlin was eventually the winner of the stage. Really, really good run for that 11 team. Had a lot of speed out there. Just kind of, it was. I think some people complained about this stage. I thought it was a decent stage of racing. I think we've seen better stage ones, but there was some really good battling up at the front. Again, that race to the finish with Hamlin, Byron, and Briscoe kind of leading the way was a lot of fun to see. But then we get the stage break, and a little bit of strategy comes into play. Ryan Blaney and Austin Cindric both take 2 tires, so they're the first 2 cars off pit road for what was a wild stage 2. I mean, it didn't take long for things to kick off. Ricky Stenhouse, and this was a big talking point from the weekend. Ricky Stenhouse gets spun off the front bumper of Carson Hocevar. There's a couple ways of looking at this. I think you see Carson Hocevar show his nose and kind of let Ricky Stenhouse know that he's going to the inside. Ricky was a little bit higher, kind of backing up the entry and arcing in. As Ricky arcs in, Carson Hocevar runs into the back of him, spins the 47, and ends the day for Ricky Stenhouse. Stenhouse obviously not very happy. I think, Hocevar supporters will say that Carson put his nose down there and showed what he was going to do. Ricky, on the other hand, felt like it was too early in the race and it was also too aggressive of a move. Both of those things together. I tend to agree with Ricky that maybe at that stage of the race, Carson, you kind of cut him some slack, let him in line, but that's again just not the way that Carson Hocevar races, and Stenhouse and his comments after being released from the infield care center seems to imply that Hocevar will get raced the same way in the future. So we'll see, next time the 77 and the 47 are by each other on the track, definitely going to be something to watch. And as happens a lot at tracks like this, cautions breed more cautions. Did not take long for another incident to occur. Noah Gragson and Alex Bowman, both of them hit pretty hard. Kyle Larson just narrowly avoids this, but the 48 and the 4, their day's pretty much ended here. Really, really hard hit for Gragson, just kind of slammed the inside wall. And what happened was Alex Bowman, we talked about a little bit earlier, guys had some trouble getting loose on entry. The 48 got loose on entry, just lost it into Gragson. Just hard hits for both. Really, really unfortunate. We go back to green and then right back to caution. We didn't even make it through turns 1 and 2 on this restart, where Eric Jones gets a good run on Christopher Bell on the restart. Jones moves to the inside, goes all the way down to the apron. Christopher Bell kind of comes down, was not clear, and again, this is a scenario where maybe Eric Jones can cut him some slack, but that 43 team really needs some good runs. Eric did not want to give up the track position knowing how hard it is to pass in this next-gen car. And Christopher Bell spins, hits the wall. I thought this was going to spell the end of the day for the 20. Turns out that he didn't get as much damage as I thought, but still just a wild moment here for the 20 team and the 43 of Eric Jones. We got right back to green, and it's another one of those deals. Caution comes up really quick. Corey Heim is a guy that I've talked a lot about as a prospect, somebody who I think is going to do great things in NASCAR in the future. He had a pretty big mistake here, just kind of cleared himself up in front of Brad Keselowski off turn 4. Ends up wrecking down the front stretch, really kind of ruined the day for the 6 team as well. It was just one of those situations where, you got to leave a little more room for the guys. Heim's spotter was telling him that the 6 car was there. So this is a driver error. I don't know if he just thought he had a little bit more room, if he thought he had cleared the 6 and just wasn't listening to the spotter. Either way, big mistake and a learning opportunity for Corey Heim, making just one of his few cup starts for 2311. Gonna have to go back to the drawing board at some point. We'll see more of him in the Truck Series. I do think it's just a matter of time before he gets a full-time ride, either in the Xfinity Series or in the Cup Series. Obviously, still a very talented driver, just can't have mistakes like that. We go back green, and Byron was making a lot of ground up on the high side, but it was still Blaney and Hamlin out front. The 11 car was very good. Hamlin really kind of controlling the race. We get another just good run to the finish. Hamlin ultimately just couldn't get by Blaney with that aero blocking. Byron comes into it at one point. It's just really good racing, I thought, here. I had a lot of fun with it. Ultimately, Ryan Blaney won the second stage. The aero blocking came into play. Really good battle. Eric Jones finished up in the top 5 in this stage. Really big momentum for that team. Carson Hocevar popped up on this list. Obviously, Hocevar ends up having a good run on the night. But we go to stage 3, and it's Ryan Blaney to the lead, and Blaney pretty much controlled it for the rest of the race. It was a big run for the 12 team. For so long this year, it felt like Blaney's luck had to turn at some point. This was the race where the 12 team finally got it done, avoided issues on pit road, didn't have an engine issue that sabotaged them, avoided a late race caution, which can shake up these races. It was tough for cars to make their way through lap traffic, which again is a concern with this car and how much aero blocking comes into play. But it was great to see, Blaney finally capitalize on what was a race-winning car. Ultimately gets the Cracker Barrel 400 checkered flag. It was Carson Hocevar who ended up second. Fantastic run for that team. Bubba Wallace, after going a lap down early, was able to rally to get back into the top 10. A top 10 for Eric Jones. Some good finishes for those guys. Mentioned Christopher Bell, who I thought was going to be done after his incident in stage 2. He manages to rally. So a lot of interesting storylines coming out of this race. And now we head into the summer stretch at Michigan. 2-mile track, definitely going to be a little bit different speeds than what we saw at Nashville. We also have the seeding for the NASCAR in-season tournament, which is going to be a lot of fun to try to keep track of, similar to what the NBA did earlier this season with the in-season tournament. Going to be fun to just see how the drivers race each other with that going on. But yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned in. Stay locked into Apollo for your NASCAR coverage from the Bayou City, and we'll catch you after Michigan.